All right, mabibi na mabwana, karibuni tena to this edition of the One Mic Show. Ni furaha kujiunga nanyi wapenzi wasikilizaji, and we are streaming live on Facebook from Kilimanjaro studios outside Washington DC. We are also live on YouTube, so please remember to share our live streams. Now later tonight, in the social segment, we'll revisit the topic of playing Kenyan music on Kenyan airwaves, and if it worked. We will also talk about a new law addressing the revenue sharing wars between Safaricom and SkizaTunes, and Kenyan artists, so stay tuned for that conversation and more. Na bila kusahau, tapokea mziki toka DJ wetu machachari mleta habari, huyu DJ OmoshFaya, na tutadunda kule viwanjani na Micah jezi nambari 7 mgongoni, akituletea habari za michezo. Moja kwa moja toka Kilimanjaro studios ni mimi mtangazaji na mwanahabari wenyu mpendwa Ali Badawy. Wengine wananiita mteule, na kule kwetu mimi ni mjukuu wa Masai, because I'm Kenyan by blood, American by design, Masai by choice. Sichagui, sikagui na sibagui. Karibuni tena.
Now, let's talk politics.
Now, this hour in news and politics, a Grammy-nominated artivist Muzi of Jabali Afrika will be talking about the role of art and music in Kenyan election politics. We'll also talk about the state of politics amongst the U.S. diaspora. Then we shall also discuss political blind spots amongst Kenyans inside the U.S. So stay tuned for that. I'm your politics anchor Ali Badawy, and it's Friday the 25th of February 2022, and we are coming to you live from Kilimanjaro studios outside Washington, D.C. Please remember to subscribe to our One Mic Show YouTube channel and follow us on Instagram at One Mic Show. Now on panel with me tonight is Mr. One Mic Kamakawa. We have our resident DJ OmoshFaya. Our sports anchor Micah is also gonna be joining us later. Our super producer tonight is of course none other than Mubelwa Bandio. And we are going to get started right away because tonight we have a lot to cover. Now, have we ever stopped to think on how art and music impacts politics in Kenya? Do you remember how big Gidi Gidi Majimajis and Bogabol was, or even more recently, Ben Gidhaya's Tano Tena hit track? Now, on set with us tonight to help us understand where the arts and music intersect with Kenyan politics is Grammy-nominated ARTivist. And I want to emphasize on that ARTivist, Muzi from Jabali Afrika.
You know, you might want to spell for some guys.
Yes, we're going to spell that,
okay,
but stay tuned. Now, Muzi is a singer, producer, and songwriter, but above all, he's a political activist and a champion of democracy and good governance. Now, Muzi's group Jabali Afrika, under the One Tribe Collective project, recently got nominated for the upcoming 64th Grammy Awards. We will be talking about this in depth later on in the show, so we want you to stay tuned. But Muzi, karibu sana.
Asante, it's always fun coming back to the One Mic Show.
Yes, karibu sana, and of course, congratulations. You know, Grammys. This is a big deal. This is your first time in Kilimanjaro as a Grammy nominee.
So that means everything changes.
What exactly do you mean by everything changes? Unataka tukulipe sasa?
Mtanilipa.
Ama we can't afford you.
Ile kazi, the same work that you guys are doing here is the kind of work also I got nominated for.
Okay.
So it's just a different vehicle, but we are still on the same mission.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That's great to know. Now, I want you to first start by telling us where you've been and what you've been up to for the last 2 years since the pandemic started. We've seen you, circle back and forth between Kenya and the US. Mm-hmm. So please tell us what you've been up to and what you've been doing for that period of time.
First of all, before the pandemic, we did a kids album. I did a children's album,
okay,
which was called Hesabu Moja Mbili.
Okay.
If you realize, even if you look at in the online on the internet, or Kiswahili is the most popular language outside of the colonial languages in Africa.
Yes, absolutely.
And we don't find a lot of content that has the language, one of the biggest language in Africa,
mm-hmm.
And we made an album when us guys were touring with when we were doing our tours, our kids tour, promoting the album, we realized there's a lot of Swahili content within the elementary schools, the high schools, and the middle schools.
Mm-hmm.
But when you look at it, when you want your child to learn something in Swahili, what is online is basically done by an expatriate who lived
in Kenya or in Tanzania.
Like there's this show that's Akili.
Yeah, Akili and B. Yes.
Yeah, and you can always tell from the accent, you just know that's a Japanese police, a Japanese that spoke Swahili that lives in Kenya. So anyway, the thing was, our focus was mainly like to celebrate our children so that they can see the imagery when they are when they're looking at all this content that is produced by Disney World and Disneyland. They can also see their stories. So we just didn't want to be the guys complaining when Hakuna Matata is taken by, maybe when Hakuna Matata is taken by when they do a big motion picture film with Hakuna Matata, we start complaining. But we realize we also don't produce that. Our kids are not being raised by content that shows their imagery.
And it's interesting you bring that up because a lot of Kenyan kids, when they come here for the first time, they are familiar with all these characters.
Exactly.
It's very shocking.
Yes. And it's a problem.
Yeah.
When I say it's a problem, because we have so many good stories. Dora the Explorer is a story about Latin America and all that stuff. So we realize, like, children of color, that is lacking a lot. And that doesn't mean that we don't have entertainers or content, people producing that kind of content. It just happens it doesn't get on the where it's supposed to get. And that's how we came together, 26 black family artists, and created this collective. And we said we have to see this representation and diversity, whereby our kids also can enjoy content from black family music artists.
And we're going to be talking about that. It's called the One Tribe Collective,
yes.
Which is what led you guys to winning a Grammy. So want listeners to stay tuned.
Nominated.
Yes. I'm already thinking ahead.
Thank you for blessing us.
To me, a nomination is already like a win.
Yes.
That's a very big deal. So I want like all the viewers to stay tuned. We're going to be talking about, I want to welcome all the listeners, like Lydia Ndori hapa nakusalimia, anasema sasa Uncle Muzi.
That's my niece. What's up, Lydia?
Yes, and then Slay anasema umeomoka. Phil, karibu sana.
Nataka kwanza kitu kwanza mnichangie. Nifike Vegas.
Tiang Nation, Philarum ndio huyo hapo. Jodomole pia anasema Tiang hapana Niang. And then Rasvik pia nakusalimia.
Weka cash up hapo. Kama DJ alikuwa anakula kitu pia mimi niacheka kitu.
Haya, Muzi anasema weke cash up hapo. Alafu hata pia Lolota amejiunga nasi, karibu sana Lolota. Washeke karibu sana. And DJ Christian Rain Digital pia amejiunga nasi. So this is going to be a very amazing show.
Huyo ni tunamuitanga the financial guy.
Yes, huyo hapo. But now, so I want you to stay tuned because we're going to be talking about that Grammy nomination because that's a very big deal. But Muzi, because this is the politics hour, when it comes to politics, our artists in Kenya mostly are either elusive or timid about the process. Now, in some cases, they show support to candidates or coalitions that they stand to profit from. But as for you, you've never shied away from declaring your positions on political issues, and even like sometimes, and you've even taken the extra step of publicly sharing your preferred candidate or who you support both locally and nationally.
Yeah.
Now I want you to talk to us about your artivism, not activism. It's called artivism. By first telling us what artivism is. A lot of people are asking what artivism is. Then maybe you can also tell us where this artivism has led you in this 2022 electoral campaign season in Kenya. Muzi,
so
twende kazi.
Artivism is using art or using the platform or the gift that you have, especially in art, to create that awareness, of things that you believe in. I believe in diversity. I believe in inclusivity.
Okay.
And also I believe in good governance. And when you look at even our history as Jabali, a lot of songs that we've released, when we started with People's Voice was a song that we released on our Mayosi album. It was basically calling upon when we had that, when people were fighting for a new constitution. So it was basically a song that we put out trying to tell, create awareness that we have to respect the people, we have to respect the voice of the people, because we believe the voice of the people is the voice of God. So if you want something like it's called, and also you looked at how the elections were chaotic,
Yeah.
So, and we have always been on that mission.
Okay.
Whereby we believe in good governance. And basically, we've been like People's Voice, songs like People's Voice. We believe in celebrating our heroes. That's why we had a song like Dead and Kimathi. If you look at the album that we put out, Rebellion, 1963.
Conscious music.
Future. Yes. Was basically talking about cost of living. At that time, everybody was complaining about cost of living.
Yes.
We're still complaining about cost of living
Lower
now,
food prices, yes.
Yeah, so that's what we call Artivism.
Okay.
And also, the way I got the name Artivism, the person who introduced me to the name Artivism was Ndungi Githuku, who's a very known, I call him a freedom fighter. It's like the new generation or the guys who are fighting for released political prisoners.
Okay.
You know?
What's his name again?
Ndungi Githuku.
Okay.
You know him. He's running for MCA Kabete.
Okay.
Because the people of Kabete told him, you know, now you're not going to the streets. Now take the streets to
parliament.
To parliament.
Or
so he's running for
or to
MCA.
the county assembly.
Yeah, so guys from Kabete, you know, our man is Ndungi Githuku.
Okay, we are going to Google him.
As Boniface Mwangi, what Boniface Mwangi is doing. You know, that's Artivism. Boniface Mwangi is a photographer by profession.
Yes.
But he used a lot of that to create some awareness in what he believed in.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's what Artivism
and it's
is.
interesting because with Boniface Mwangi, it was very visible, you know, like the pictures that they were drawing, you know, like on the walls in Nairobi, you know, when they took the pigs to parliament. And the coffins, and those are very memorable. People tend to remember that. Now with this Artivism, you know, like there's this mixed bag sometimes where, you know, some artists feel like it's not our role to be in politics. So should it be, you know, like, because artists are very influential people, you know, like musicians, you know, like if you go out there, if I go out there with a political message, very few people are going to listen to me. But if you go out there with a guitar, everybody will be out there and even, you know, like asking you, where can we drop some money? So where, you know, like when it comes to politics, where do artists fall? You know, should they automatically also be active simply because they have influence, or can you just be an artist and ignore what's happening around you?
So that brings me to this influx of artists, comedians, guys who are doing things in art, trying to run for political office.
Yes.
Sometimes I don't have to run for political office when I have a platform. And sometimes I believe they have a bigger platform. Whatever they do, whatever they are known for, is a bigger platform to articulate the things that they want to see or the change that they want to see. I vibed with my brother, my friend Jalas, and I felt like, oh, Jalas, he's running for MP Langata. And I was telling him, yo, bro, I see, when I look at your platform, you're doing so much with your platform. And I was one guy who, like, I thought, like I said, like, you're doing more on your platform,
Jalango TV.
Than you would if you went
you'd be in parliament. And he told me, no, he wants to go into parliament because he said, one thing, the funding. At least now you have access to funding. So the things that you want to do, the CDF, which is mostly sometimes mismanaged. So that's the reason he gave me.
Okay.
But personally, I felt like he's one person I know so talented, you know, he's one of all-round talented guys I know, who I felt like he would do better on his platform than going to parliament. But the fact that he's running and he's my boy, so Langata, Jalas, you see? So anyway, so my point is like, I see it has become a mockery. Have you realized like there's so many memes whenever, I realize like everybody's running. There's an MCA here, you see, Atamimi. You go to, what do you call it? I know in UDA, I think there is, what's his name?
MC Jesse.
MC Jesse.
Yeah.
I saw Bugu Bugu, DNG.
DNG is also running on UDA for MCA.
And then even like the socialites now with their Instagram followers, they are running for political office. Political office is not a joke. Let's not make a mockery about that. So what I'm saying we should not make a mockery out of that is about changing lives. You're being given a responsibility to change a situation, you know? So it's not something, it's not a fashion, because I feel like in Kenya now it's becoming like running for political office for artists, of guys, mostly artists, is more like, yo, let's go in, you know, everybody's running. Hapa kuna kamkwanja kanakuja. It's not supposed to be like that.
And this is a point where I want to bring OmoshFaya into this conversation, you know, so that he can also bring in his perspective, you know, like as someone who's a DJ and is also so much into music. Because sometimes you see when you attack that idea, now, you know, you're an artist yourself, so you can attack that idea. But whenever that idea is attacked, you know, like when, you know, like someone is saying, how is it that, you know, a lot of musicians, you know, like, and comedians also, are all of a sudden, you know, like trying to run for office. So a lot of times when you bring that up, people say that you're trying to make it sound like artists are not smart and they cannot understand, you know, like what's happening in politics. And that's the reason why we've had these conversations with Omosh. That's the reason why I also want to bring him into the conversation to see, you know, like also what his thoughts are, you know, like as far as, you know, like artists running for political office. OmoshFaya.
So, you know, just like Muzi said, it's been the trend, basically, at least of late, of this election, unlike any other election. In fact, I don't think we can even count on 10 fingers over here how many people. The Prezo, Sijui, there are many. In fact, it has become, just like Muzi says, it's almost become a joke, or should I say that this is the fashion standard that everybody is now going for. You know, instead of being on TikTok and Instagram, let's go we run for MCA.
Because even Willie Paul said he was running for Mathare. I don't know whether he was serious, but he mentioned that he was running for the Mathare member of parliament seat.
I know we are artists. Don't get this wrong. I know being an artist, coming from an artist perspective, political office needs so much. And I'm talking about, because I've seen how Jalas has arranged his squad. You have to have an economist. You have to understand, like, it's not just something that you just come out of there. You have to understand the dynamics of the neighborhood.
You have to have experts.
And then some of these guys think, and that's I have a problem with that, because they have posters everywhere. Like, even the CDF, which is supposed to do some things, nimeka karavat hapa anaweka poster yake, one mic did this
yeah,
like
I did
they
this.
become like they are so much litter.
Even toilets,
even toilets,
launched a toilet,
things that you're supposed to build, you know. So to me, a political office, you have to have a team. You have to have somebody to understand, like, what are the needs of the people, you know. Correct. So, but in our country, I'm sorry to say, we kind of like, we're having a lot of people running for office for the sake of running for office, just for popularity, for likes, for, you know, and it's not supposed to be like that, you know. And that's why I like the statement that Jaguar said when the artists were all over him. Oh, Jaguar went here, hujatufanyia. He said it's not the artist who took him to parliament. Which is true. So artists have to understand that, you know. It's not only the artist, you know. Yes, we understand you're an artist. You're gonna stand for the policies that that art brings, you know. But on the other hand, we have to understand it's not only artists who took you to parliament, and those are the dynamics. Sometimes most of these artists don't understand, because kitu wanasemaga, hey, vijana, amuna job huko, vijana.
Popular slogan.
Sometimes when you come into politics, you have to create your own policy, and then you'll see the impact of your policy. You know, like Obamacare, right? For example, you know, he came in with his style and he was like, Obamacare. Get what I'm saying? Same thing as Baba now is saying, Babacare. He's saying he came with his own pillars, you know? And when you question those pillars right now, for example, let's go back to the old regime, stadium, ile ya wote, all this stuff. It has not been done. It hasn't been done yet, but the guy is still running for office, and we are not questioning that. But he's telling you he's going to build your economy. And that's what I'm telling artists, have to understand those things. It's not just promises.
OmoshFaya.
You got to come in with a plan.
So, you know, Muzi, you're right. And you know, you've been on the ground as both, I guess, an activist and as well as an ordinary citizen who's, you know, been running around in the country. I've seen you running around, and I'm not even going to mention the parties here, but I've seen you running around. So from your perspective as somebody who's been on the ground, based upon what you're telling us, and with all these, you know, people who you've even been on stage with, you've, you know, cohabitated with these people, so to speak, you know, these are in the arts. you seem to see that they are not going to make an impact, or you don't see them having an agenda, or the fact that they've come out and they've put their slogans out there, they have the labels out there, but they don't seem to have an agenda, unlike, say, like someone like Jalas, who's set out certain things.
Yeah, because I've seen Jalas do that on his platform. We've seen him with his philanthropic work on his platform.
Okay.
So I know for a fact that's even his slogan, Utu na Watu, right?
Yes.
So if you look at what Jalas has done and you compare with all these other guys, there's a very big difference. Do you get my point?
Okay.
And I'm not saying that just because Jalas is my friend, but I'm judging it from what is out there. So just because I'm popular, I'm a singer, doesn't necessarily mean I am a good politician or I'm a good leader. I'm a good leader.
Or I can bring change.
Yeah, so we've not seen you in that arena. We've seen you hold a mic and sing,
Correct.
I know some people can change some things, but we need to stop this thing of like voting in people for popularity. It's like right now, I'll give you an example. We look at our political arena right now. Baba goes to Kiambu, Ruto comes with his own people, and then he says, "Well, not in Likua now." But when I looked at where Baba went, because I went with him in some situations. Okay. He was going and speaking to the ordinary people. Baba was going, sitting with the ordinary people in their houses. There's a very big difference with that. To me, it's not about all these people. It's about the impact. He went to us. I'm talking about a birthday party of a kid that just invited him from, I think the kid was from Kiambu. I said, "Oh, Baba was kuja kwa birthday yangu," and Baba showed up at the birthday. Do you get my point? So sometimes, some things, when you see things like those happening, it shows you the difference. There's some guys who it doesn't necessarily mean the fact that you have so many people cheering you are a good artist either.
So what you're saying basically is, there's nothing wrong with artists, like running for office, but it's just based on what you've shown.
Yes.
Not necessarily just your popularity.
Yes,
just being
it has
known.
to be more than that.
It has to be more than that. It's what you've it's what you've shown and what you've and what you've achieved within the community. And before I forget, because you started, kind of revealing,
some things,
your leanings, but whether it's Baba or DP, we don't know. But with the DP, because you mentioned the DP, and this has something to do with music. He made a comment in some political rally about the Democratic Republic of Congo.
Yes.
Akawaita watu ya kuimba na kuvuta suruali mpaka juu.
Na wana ngombe.
Yeah, na hawana ngombe, of course. But why, this is a question that I've always, I've been curious about. The people in Democratic Republic of Congo were not very happy.
They are not happy
with what Baba said, as we saw on social media.
Baba or Ruto?
Sorry, Ruto. I meant what Ruto said. Thank you for that correction. What Ruto said on social media. So my question here is, when it comes to art, do people get angry when they are called watu wa kuimbaimba? Do they get angry because generally people tend to have a certain attitude towards people who are either musicians or in the arts? Because even the way he said it, the tone.
It's a tone. So I'll tell you, I'm one artist that went through a lot of these things.
Yeah.
Watu wa mangoma. Yes, I play nacheza ngoma, but watu wa mangoma.
Mulikuwa kwa bar.
Yeah, unaona wale watu wanarukarukaga. Remember there's also a time Mishuki said, Tol Ngilu, unafikiria hii ni Kilume or something like that, Do you remember those kind of statements? It was derogatory. You can tell from the tone. Yes, we know Congolese sing. Even my friend, very good friend, and my elder Samba told me, what is he talking about? There's so many. Ukiingia Uvira, he gave me, ukiingia Uvira, uingia Matadi, iko ngombe mingi sana. Maziwa, just because some guys are importing, it doesn't necessarily mean that they don't have these things. They have broken systems like our country is. So we are importing maize and we have maize in the country.
Exactly.
Correct.
So you're
Sugar,
celebrating broken systems out there and taking advantage of broken systems. It's because of the leadership. And that's why it's important for us to get somebody who has experience. And you can tell the experience is like water and oil. When you look at this side and that side, it's like water and oil.
Okay, all right. Let me read a quick few comments over here. And of course, we also have Micah on the phone. Micah has like a question or two for you here. But real quick, let me go through the comments first here. Now we have, let me see, Washeke says many artists are afraid of being involved in politics or activism for fear of alienating their fans. And then Washeke says 28 million for a pit latrine. I think that was on the conversation about, like politicians launching projects. And then Slay Odwar here is asking, do you have a comment for people who did more in their spaces and kind of burnt out when they ran out of office? In my opinion, I feel like Muhammad Ali Jichopevu went toned down when he ran for office. Would like to hear your thoughts on this, so we're going to talk about that later. And then Brown Sugar says, no, I think sasa hii hapa ni no, Washeke says, as Africans we generally don't accord artists respect or ever consider it a career. Is Mika already on? Okay, all right. So I want to remind the listeners that you are tuned in to the Politics Hour of the One Mic Show. We are talking to Grammy nominee Muzi from Jabali Afrika about the intersection of music and election politics in Kenya. Now, later in the hour, we will talk about what political outfits in Kenya have in store for Kenyans living in the diaspora. So stay tuned for that. Then please remember to share our live stream, like our Facebook page. We are also active on both Instagram and YouTube. Please go and subscribe. And keep spreading the word. Musisahau you up. I'll keep reminding you every day. Yeah.
Soma comment ya Ololota.
Okay, Ololota anasema do not support artists running. Wow. Okay.
He's gone hard.
He's gone hard.
He's gone hard.
Yeah. And then Sean Kangede anasema kura kwa OmoshFaya. So I don't know what that's about. But before we continue, Uno, please tell us what we're going to be talking about tonight in the social segment.
So in the social segment, we are going to jump off the ship a little bit of politics and get into the entertainment world. Of course, we have a Grammy-nominated ARTivist over here. There was a 52% legislation that was passed the other day. And of course, discussing the means by which it was popularized or whatever, we don't know. Our music is going to tell us.
You're talking about the one about SkizaTunes.
Oh, the
SkizaTunes,
yeah.
And especially that. And then, maybe a recommend is a stunt. And also, I guess, we discuss about the Grammy and Gengeton and DJ Pinye. All that coming up in the social segment.
Yeah, in the social segment. So we want you to stay tuned for that. But now I want us to talk a little bit about some diaspora politics. Because, of course, we're in the diaspora here. IBC recently concluded their first registration exercise in the U.S., and the turnout was dismal, to say the least. Yep. Now, save for the short notice and long distances, why do you think Kenyans in the diaspora showed little interest in this process? Because think about the DMV, for example, registered a paltry 252 voters. And we know that there's way more people out here in the DMV. What happened here, Muzi?
Let me tell you one thing. I went to the IBC. I was with John Maina, who's it's like our diaspora.
Was a former diaspora.
Yeah, a former diaspora, but also he was in charge of the office of the PM. He was the
he was in charge of the diaspora.
Yeah, he was a diaspora guy, and they were the
so
guys
we went to
who helped with the
IBC and we met with IBC guys, the IT guy who replaced Musando. Mm-hmm. So we kind of like told them this. We expected this. When I say we expected this, because we were trying. We gave them. John did a very good presentation and showed them like the best way for the diaspora to be engaged, knowing the dynamics of the diaspora, is to vote digitally through the e-citizen platform.
Yeah,
and
or something similar.
But see the e-citizen. If we can trust the e-citizen to give us an ID
and a passport, yeah,
why can't we trust it to vote? And one thing with the IBC you have to understand is like they realize that's the system. I'm talking about how rotten our system is. They ain't going to get the budgets. This thing involved budgets for them to travel and do all these things, right?
Correct.
So when you go digital or you go e-citizen, it's saving us money, right?
It sure is.
But it's a process that we gave them a solution for, and we knew this was coming because nobody's going to spend their money. We know the dynamics. Mm-hmm. Nobody's going to leave California or leave, let's say,
Minnesota
Atlanta
or
Dallas to come
to DC,
to register in DC. We know we have so many challenges here, So, and first of all, it's our right as diaspora to vote.
Correct.
You know, and it says it has to be made free and fair. Free meaning that it has to be in close distance. If you look at like all the registrations of voters in Kenya,
Yes.
you walk to the registration. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, to the
Why
poll-
should
to
I
the
be
poll,
flying to go register? Why should I be spending all this money, take 3 days
And it should
off?
also be continuous.
Yes, and it
That's
should also
another.
be continuous.
Yes.
You know? So actually, we can even use the law to claim that it was not done the way it's supposed to be done.
Correct.
But obviously, the other thing is like, if they do it digitally, it's like, it's gonna create, what I realize is like, to them, they looked at it like, oh, this is some other work that they don't want to do, you know? But to be honest with you, we were expecting this because nobody is gonna leave his job for 3 days to come register to be a voter. In a situation whereby even we are not even given, when us guys want to get jobs, we are not, like we also get hindrances. Like they treat us like we are not,
We're outsiders.
we are outsiders.
Yeah.
You know? So to me, I will say we have to do it through the e-citizen platform.
Okay, and I think also Uno wanted to chime in this conversation.
I agree with you in that, okay, it's the first step. You know, nobody's going to fly from Minnesota or Dallas. However, you know, we had Miss Okwom here was representing the IBC department. I mean,
voter education, director of voter education.
And of course, you know what we, you know, we were told, you know, per the constitution or whatever has been laid out by the constitution, this can only be done on Kenyan soil, which you know, you can't argue with that, because even if Omkio Omtata goes and argues, he's going to argue based on the constitution. However, fine, Dallas, Minnesota, Boston, those guys were not going to travel. However, DMV, hapa tu,
Yeah.
hapa, a paltry 200, and yet,
And that 200 also
252.
included people from outside, by the way.
Yeah, there's some people who
yes.
travel.
So-
So,
so let us-
Delaware, the
let us-
guys who
so we
came
can say
from-
maybe DC labda ni 150.
150.
Yeah.
As
A
much,
paltry, and what I'm trying to say is this, you know, for the longest time, people, keyboard warrior, their discontent about not being considered, not being considered, or not being given the right to vote,
the opportunity.
yes.
the opportunity to vote. Let me choose. In as much as, let's say, for example, you know, kama wezi kapanda ndege na kuenda because ukienda wezi karudi sawa. Even those guys, right here, even just the opportunity, we had been clamoring for it.
Yeah.
We have blogged about it.
Yes.
We have had shows about it. We have even
We've cried about it.
Ali has even presented a petition.
Yes.
Out of all that, we have given the opportunity. Here it is. Shikeni. Fine. But wait a minute. Why is it that we cannot be able to, can we do mail-in ballots? Can they mail it in? Where do I have to go? Keria? So questions start being asked, even now when you've been, even if it's 2 weeks, yes, 2 weeks, it's short period or whatever. And then the misinformation going around, talking about these guys are doing it just Monday, 8 to 5.
The misinformation was
Well,
at
they were
another
doing
level.
it they're doing it from 8 to 5, Monday through Monday, even on the weekends. And not everybody works
every day.
every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's embarrassing.
So-
One
so-
mic, I understand. It was an
So
embarrassing show.
So
Yeah.
at least,
But also, people also are beat down. It's a fatigue. We've been beat down by
Yeah.
everything we have to do. First of all, we are contributing a lot of money to the GDP in Kenya.
Yes.
But you're always treated like we don't matter. You get my point?
Yeah.
So guys sometimes you get tired also of the I don't know if I should use the word, but am I allowed to curse?
Yes. This is like
Go for
HBO.
it.
Okay, the fuckery in our country. You know?
you could have said Madhogodhanio, but it's okay.
Okay. So
You didn't even give us time to tell parents to cover the two
So
easiest.
I'm being honest. People are burned out.
Yeah.
And that's why
There's
even
burnout.
when I
There's
engaged,
There's fatigue.
I'll give you an example. I engaged the DP. I went to the mansion
Yeah.
when the diaspora went to the mansion, and we engaged the Prime Minister,
Okay.
Raila, on the issue of diaspora.
Former Prime Minister.
Former Prime Minister.
Get that right, please.
And incoming president. Anyway, so we engaged like both of them.
Hustler.
And to be honest with you, I'm very passionate about diaspora things, like the same way you guys are passionate about diaspora. Because first thing my son asked me when these Black Lives Matter, when they started killing these brown boys, thought, hey, daddy man, baba, hii nchi man, imekuwa ni mbaya sasa.
Ni kubaya.
So
Yeah.
let's go, let's go to Kenya.
Yeah, and this is your son.
This is my son.
How old is
Telling
he?
me, he's now 20. He celebrated his birthday 2 days ago.
Oh, wow. Okay.
You know? And I said, and that thing hit me like, wow, how can I make Kenya better for him if he cannot vote? So that's why I was passionate with John Maina running the streets of Nairobi, going to IEBC. I was always available. There's no money. We are all most of us diaspora people, we volunteer. And then when I was in Nairobi, I had like there was a diaspora people were going to see. They had a meeting at Karen at the DP's
At the
house.
Hustlers Mansion.
I said, I'm a diasporan. Let's go.
Ukaingia tu.
What's his name? I just ran into them. They had a kamukunji. First of all, they were huddling at a restaurant. Say,
Who
hey,
are these?
Who are these diasporans?
diasporans that we don't know. Like it's just guys from another one from Boston, from Alabama. I'm talking about those Oklahoma.
Yeah.
You know, it's guys that you don't even know about.
Yeah.
But they're saying we represent chapters of the diaspora. So I said, oh, I'm not seeing anybody. I'm not seeing the leaders.
You're
of
not
the
seeing any
community, the
familiar
diaspora,
faces.
Familiar
Yeah.
faces.
Yeah.
So I was curious. I said, like, you know what? Let me go see these guys that are representing our agenda because I'm very passionate about that.
Very passionate.
Yes. We went in and I got a chance to ask a question. I asked him, what is your stand on the diaspora voting? And I based it on the question that my son asked me.
Now, this is a question to the Deputy President of Kenya.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I am an artist. I asked him, what is your policy towards the arts? You know? And remember, those are the same questions I asked who?
Baba.
Baba.
Yeah.
You know? Baba gave me his answers. The DP did not give me, like, it was like...
what did he say before you started
he
saying
did not
that,
answer my mind that...
What did he say?
What he said?
Yes.
He
Because
did
if
not-
you can
the
recall-
voting one, he ignored that one.
The diaspora voting.
Yeah, the diaspora voting, he ignored that one.
Okay.
So he talked about the arts, how he's like gonna set up this and that, the same thing we hear, all studios, all that stuff.
What
You
was
know?
Baba's answer?
Baba's answer?
Yes.
Baba's answer said he's gonna he's gonna make the diaspora, actually he's gonna make, the diaspora is gonna become the 48th county. The DP answered that too. You know, he said the same thing.
Or it'll make the diaspora
That's
the
what the
48th
48th county.
Okay.
You know?
Meaning it will have political representation?
Yeah, it will have political representation.
Okay.
But my point is like, why would we have a political representation if you cannot vote? Do you get my point?
Yeah.
So we have to have
Good
that
question.
power. And then I'm talking about like, yes, you want to give us, but Baba said when he comes in, he's going to make sure this is done. And apart from that, Baba has always been on the diaspora issue. He's always been on it since day immemorial. That's why even when he was prime minister, we had a representative for the diaspora at his office. Do you get my point?
Yes.
Is there a representative for the diaspora at the deputy president's office right now?
Maybe it's those guys you were meeting, you know, from
Yes.
Alabama and Boston.
So,
Maybe they're the
I was
representatives.
actually, I was not disappointed with the DP. I was more disappointed by our representation from the diaspora.
Okay.
And why I'm saying I was
Who are
disappointed.
these people?
There was, even they said DC chapter. James Sang is they were calling the guys who are in charge of the chapters.
Oh, so DC
Yes.
has a representative?
Yeah, they have a DC chapter.
A DC chapter for, is it now for,
I think it was for
diaspora or for UDA?
Diaspora.
For diaspora UDA.
Okay.
So,
okay.
and my point is like, when I was talking to the diaspora, I was telling them, the diaspora agenda is bipartisan.
Sure is.
Our problems are intertwined, regardless of whether we are on Azimio side or we are on the other side.
Yeah.
You know? So, and I felt disappointed in them because all they came in, they were aspirants. Oh, me, I'm running for Kinangop. Hey, so everybody was like, basically guys who are running for office.
So they
but
had their
wanted
own
the UDA
agendas.
ticket.
Yeah.
So then they had their personal agendas.
Okay.
So, and that was my disappointment because I don't think the DP was briefed very well. You know?
Okay.
I don't think he was briefed very well. The guys did a very but it was more photo op situation.
optics.
Yeah. So
Yeah, and I think also, to be fair, we need to, like, find some of these UDA representatives,
Bring
like,
them on. That'd
like
be
if you know
nice.
any of them, we need to bring them here, because like Muzi has said, the diaspora agenda is bipartisan. Like
Mupende musipende.
yeah,
Sure is.
whoever is gonna get in power, like, we have to be prepared either way, and make sure, like, whoever is on the UDA side or whoever is on the Azimio side, we have to make sure we know what's happening on both sides.
But don't forget, hold on, Uno, before you come in. Don't forget, the diaspora agenda, to be honest with you, for the last 10, 15 years, Baba has always been on our... it's an honest truth. Even right now, the DP is coming, right? He's saying he's coming.
Yes,
he's doing
he's
a
coming
tour.
to the US.
That is like he's doing an orientation on foreign policy. You can't do foreign policy in 12 days.
Now we're gonna get UDA chapter representatives to counter, because I'm sure they have a counter to what you were saying. But
them on.
Mike.
But I was going to ask, what exactly is the diaspora agenda? Because diaspora is wide. We're talking about anyone and everything outside of
Anybody who's
254.
Outside of the
254.
country.
So let us say this. What is, among the denizens and the citizens, let's say, living in the US, and we don't know about UK, whatever. Sasa hapa sisi hapa Kamkunji. What is our agenda? Or what could you say is our agenda?
Or what are our issues?
What are our issues?
Our issues are when we vote. When we vote.
Hold on.
I
I was going to read these comments over here before you finish.
Yeah.
Washeke. Ezi, I think she's saying Arizona in the studio. If
Yeah.
you know, you know. Muzi anatetea baba sana.
No.
Carry on.
No, anyways, it's my
no.
preferred candidate, and I'm basing it on the facts in terms of like the diaspora, because I'm passionate about the diaspora, and I'm talking about the arts. Even this Skiza thing that we're celebrating.
That is for the social
For the
segment.
social,
Yeah,
okay.
but go ahead.
You see, Baba is everywhere.
but give it-
everywhere you go, there's a Baba in there.
Give it 30 seconds of the...
Okay,
the-
anyway,
the
my
Skiza
point is
tunes,
like,
yes.
when I say our diaspora issues, if you're contributing that much money in the GDP, we have to have a say on how it's being spent. Do you get my point?
Yes.
We have to have a say. And the only way we can have a say, and I'm not even talking about me, I'm talking about my son asking me, America is let's not be so comfortable with America. And diaspora, we've realized that after Donald Trump became president. We realized they don't like us like that.
Kulikuwa mbaya.
At least you have,
Kulikuwa mbaya.
at least
We have an exit
option.
plan. Yeah, we have a
an
place
exit
to
plan.
go. Yeah.
What about an African-American brother who's been born here?
I ain't get South
Do you
Carolina.
get my point?
Yeah, but back to Uno's point, because I think like one key question that I was also asking a lot of people is, what exactly is it that you want? Because I think people sometimes hear this diaspora agenda thing, and they don't necessarily know what it is.
No,
because
no. Not that they don't necessarily know. They just don't know.
yeah, maybe they just don't know. But now I think what I think is important is also to show people how things happening back home are directly affecting their pocketbooks. Because sometimes people feel like, I have my good job here, my family is here, so I'm okay. But what they don't understand, and one easy way, if you're trying to talk to people about this, you can tell them one way in which they can identify quickly, is tell them to pull out their SendWave statement.
Yes.
Or whatever software, whatever software they used to send money. Now the reason I say this is because the reasons why we've been sending money to Kenya over time has been changing. Right now, if you go look at the reasons why you're sending money, it's because you're either paying someone's rent,
Yep.
you're paying for subsistence of someone, you're paying medical bills, you're paying, and these are things the government is supposed to be doing. They're supposed to be
bills.
offering free education, so there are so many things. You'll find out that about 20% of your income that you're making here is going towards doing things
Sustaining, yeah.
that the government is supposed to be doing. Now, here's the thing. Within 10 years, when you look at the total amount you've been sending for things that the government is supposed to be doing, it's a house. It's a cost of a house.
Sure is.
Like when you consider some people send $15,000, $20,000 in a year to Kenya, on things that the government is supposed to be doing. So I think it's important for us to be able to communicate to people how this is directly affecting their pocketbooks, because like when you ask people, like the diaspora agenda, like Uno said, most people don't know because they've not been able to make sense of how it's affecting their pocketbooks.
And I think the diaspora agenda also is not necessarily, and I think the misconception, I believe, is that people think diaspora is the US.
It's not the
It's
US.
not just the US.
No.
It's the people in UK, it's the people in
Middle East,
Africa,
Outside
Qatar,
of
Dubai.
254.
Sudan.
Period.
Hapo.
Even Uganda.
Yes.
is
Yeah,
diaspora.
Uganda, yeah.
Yes. And
Not Rongai though.
And over here, Washeke says, top diaspora agenda, tax incentives for diasporan investors. Foreign investors are given hefty incentives while we are met
Yes.
with roadblocks upon roadblocks when trying to open a business.
Yeah.
And then Elolota says, it was easy for me to get a SIM card with my American passport than a Kenyan passport. And, some of those things may seem trivial, may seem small, but they are
not.
very, very, very
they're
important.
very critical. Yeah.
And then leave alone that, the jobs, like the expatriates that we bring into the country. There's so many able diasporans that can do those
That
jobs.
can do the same jobs.
So
yeah.
they bring in expatriates. It has even, I've seen that even when guys see a Caucasian, they'll give him the opportunity. I'm talking about an average Joe.
Yeah.
And you are experienced, they'll give him the job before they give you the job.
100%.
So, and that's the diaspora. That's the things where they can tap into that. I like that idea when somebody suggested that in the diaspora group. Like when you look at there's some things. Make sure when you're looking for expatriate duties, tap into the diaspora first. Tap into
Like Rwanda is doing.
Yeah, like Rwanda is doing.
Yeah.
Somalia. I'll tell you right now, Somali, all the doctors, the artists, they're doing a lot of stuff. And so you go to Mogadishu right now, we go to Hargeisa, it's all diasporans.
But
And
also people will question like Mogadishu, the same place that there's a lot of conflict, there's a lot of
And
war,
that's-
whatever. And again, maybe there's a lot of things that we do not know, we don't understand, because all we see is war and bombs blowing up. But probably we don't understand that there's also a thriving economy
it's changed.
in Mogadishu. Now, let me read a few comments over here. Elolotsa says, taxation on both ends. But I wanted to say this. I am sure even Americans, even if they live outside America, they still pay taxes.
No, in fact, Americans, when it comes to paying taxes, America is, I think there's only 2 countries in the world where you are required to pay taxes just based on being a citizen. It doesn't matter where you're living.
Yes.
No, not pay, but file.
America, you have to
Fine.
be- if you're
File
outside-
taxes.
File
Yeah.
taxes. So-
one of those countries is the United States. Can anyone guess the second one? Anyone real quick?
Kenya.
Going once, going
Kenya.
twice?
Kenya.
No.
Canada.
Kenya, Kenya,
yeah,
don't
yeah.
think
Oh,
it's a
UK,
requirement.
UK.
Kenya, it's only a requirement if you have a PIN number. But
Kenya, you have to file.
so the other country, it's not a country that you could think of. It's Eritrea. Those are the only 2 countries in the world that require you to file taxes. As
Whether you make an income or not.
In America,
regardless of where you're making your
and
income
also
or where
if
you're
you're an
living.
American citizen and you're outside the country, there's some days.
You still file.
Yeah, you'll file.
There's some rules.
Yeah, there's some rules around that.
Yes.
Like you have to be here 26 days. So if you're even, I know guys who are expatriates, but when they want to they don't want to, when they come to visit the US, and they divide their 26 days.
Yes.
I'll come Thanksgiving 1 week.
Yes, there's tax loopholes.
Yeah, there's loopholes like that.
Yeah, and those are things we're going to talk about in some financial segments that we're going to be bringing up.
That Ali will be the Shmi.
Yes.
Carry on.
Yeah, so real quick before we end this segment, time imeenda mbio sana. Just give us, like a quick brief of what Azimio is, now that you've clearly, stated that you're in support of Azimio and Baba.
Umejitoa.
You know-
Yeah. What is Azimio's
You
diaspora
know why
agenda?
I'm running with Azimio?
Yes.
The inclusivity part.
And tell us about the
And
diaspora agenda.
When I talk about the inclusivity part, is I cannot believe even when I was privileged a little bit to see Baba work. I was in a few campaign trails, and I just saw the message and how it is. And we went to the places that were very hostile to Baba in the last election. So the thing I like about the whole situation is the inclusivity, usawa, usalisaji. When Mswahili inaitwaje?
Usahilishaji.
Yep. And
What does that mean, by the way?
Swahili sanifu, you see Baba.
Usahil. No, that one. What he said. What does that mean?
No, kuna usawa, You know, there were three things we were talking about, and
and then you see, looking at I'm talking about what is out there. Like, I've seen how the DP is running his campaign, you know, and even looking at his soldiers, his soldiers, the way they're articulating, they even don't know his bottom-up economy, how it runs.
but Azimio,
So me, I'm talking. No, I'm just saying. I'm
Thank you
comparing.
for focusing.
Yeah. So to me, Azimio, the inclusivity part, and seeing Baba. To me, when I look at Baba right now, it's a Mandela moment. He's not even talking about people that did this to him or they were saying this against him. You know. So to me, I look at like, oh, this man is actually, you know, is actually a Mandela. Like, to me, looking at him like I'm looking at it's a Mandela moment. When I look at that, I say like, wow. He's looking is forgiving, number one, and then when he talks about economy, he knows what he's talking about. You know, when he talks about social welfare, we know here in America what that 6,000 is going to do to people. You know, but
Yes.
the thing of saying actually looking first of all, even the way the name hustler, we know what hustler mean. We live in America.
When you say economy and he knows, please, Fafanua, give an example.
So, when I say economy, Baba was talking about how he's gonna like. First of all, when you look at like the whole devolution, who gave us devolution?
the new constitution.
The new constitution.
Yeah.
So that means he understands. And we've seen, go to the villages right now. We travel with you almost half of Kenya, right?
Yeah.
You've seen the power of devolution. It's only Vihiga County that where I come from that I was a little bit disappointed. I don't see that money trickling down to
the people. Okay.
But when I went to every county, there was a hospital, the roads were built, the infrastructure is good. So you see the impact of that. But before, when Baba started doing all these things way before, what were they saying? Majimbo, all that stuff. But I can see, even people prefer, some people have moved out of the city into the village.
Back to the villages.
You know? So it tells you the village is, when you look at the rural areas, is they're self-sustaining. People don't necessarily have to go to Nairobi to look for work.
But what do we expect from Baba as diasporans? You know, like let's say within
That 48th county.
within the first 100 days, especially because I think diasporans, you know, are a bit frustrated. You know, you saw they were apathetic a bit to the process of voter registration. You know, like so. Let's say if Baba wins, you know, like what should diaspora expect? You know, like within the first 100 days,
To
or maybe
me, I
within
say
the
we're
first
just
year.
we're gonna hold him accountable to his promises.
But also,
See, the same way we are. If you look at on the campaign trail, we are holding the DP to the promises he gave.
He gave, you know, like
You see?
in 2013 and 2017.
And it's all, the good thing about this, there's always evidence, you know? So the same thing, you're going to hold Baba responsible to what he's saying he's going to give us.
Okay.
You know? But when I look at both of them, because when you look at the whole situation, one of them is going to be president, right?
yes.
So we want to see the policy from the policy side, you know? So I'm not saying like, I know he's going to do this or do that, but I'm looking at the candidates that I have in front of me. When I look at all these things and I look at the history of everybody, I can definitely, it's very easy for me to choose. That's
Okay,
why
Uno.
I'm riding the Azimio train.
What will be curious is how or the structure or what the structure would be composed of when you say diaspora being the 48th county. And when I say that, you know, like structure is, or what is the intended implementation of making the diaspora? What is the supposed plan? What is the what is in the works? You know,
We don't
even
know.
something.
Uno, we don't know because the diaspora is not America alone, as you say.
That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. Exactly.
So when you look at the diaspora, there's so many guys who are active. You've been in the WhatsApp in the diaspora.
Yeah, in the
forums.
different
There's so many
forums, yeah.
guys there's guys in the UK.
Qatar.
We told the guys in the UK, let Americans
down, yeah.
slow down. Let
Yeah.
Americans deal with the American situation. South Africans deal with South Africans. Juba deal with the Juba situation. So the diaspora is big. You
Yes,
know? So
yes, it is
they
big.
have to figure out a way to make it work, knowing that the diaspora is not only America or UK.
And I think part of the reason why it may not have crystallized, you know, with both coalitions, you know, both Hustler and Azimio, is also because of these numbers that are trickling in. Because at the end of the day,
Yep.
remember that
It's
these
the votes.
agendas are going to be based on numbers too. You know, like if
Yeah,
you
you're
know
not gonna
they-
spend money on-
they're not going to spend money. You know, like they're
on
not going to
100
ask
trucks.
for a representative for people in the US when it's less than 1,000 people
It's 100
who
people.
have registered to
Yep.
who have registered to vote across the country. They can't give a representative of the US. So I think a lot of these are some of those things that are going to
Read
be
those
talked about.
comments.
And then,
Yes.
and then leave alone that. Remember there was this issue of Mwende Muzi
Yes, being
Yeah.
an ambassador.
being an ambassador.
In
That
South
means when you
Korea.
have dual citizenship, you cannot be an ambassador of the country. While you are the best person to be an ambassador of the country because you've lived here, you understand the dynamics. Okay, but we
Is that
understand.
a constitutional thing, though?
No, it's not a constitutional thing. In fact, actually, the courts ruled on it, but there's a new law that came up because they
Or
doubled down.
amendment or
There's a new law. It was actually a new law because the court said, you know, like initially when this thing was taken to court, it was said there's no part of the constitution or any law that stops
That
you know, like
specifies. Yeah.
a dual citizen from being an ambassador. But there's a new law that was created, you know, very recently, you know, which we still have to review to see what it said about that situation
and the Miguna situation too.
and the Miguna
You see?
situation
So I'm
too.
just saying, yes, we have dual citizenship, and then you look at it like you're seeing somebody. You see what Miguna
it's
is going
being
through.
applied selectively?
Yeah. So it's being
so
applied
I think it's
selectively.
important when it comes to, you know, like also like schooling and educating people on the diaspora
It is
agenda so that
very
so that they
important.
understand that there is an agenda. Now, as time is, you know, like really not on our side, you know, like I want to remind again the listeners that you're listening to the One Mic Show. It's a politics hour. We are talking to Grammy nominee Muzi from Jabali Afrika about so many things that are happening in Kenya, you know, the music and everything. And later in the hour, Muzi will be giving advice to diasporans planning to run for office in the upcoming election. So stay tuned for that. Then please remember to share our live stream and like our Facebook page. We're also active on both Instagram and YouTube. So please follow, subscribe, and keep spreading the word. I don't know whether Micah is Micah already there. If okay, we're gonna find out what we're talking about in sports. But real quick, you know, as we wrap up this segment briefly, you know, and we're gonna read some comments that are coming in. But briefly, Muzi, having now lived in Kenya for the past few years after a long time in the US, is there any disconnect that you see between Kenyans here and Kenyans back home? Or maybe what are some of our blind spots while processing political events back home while living abroad?
There's a very big disconnect. Sometimes there's also misconceptions. Some of these things people think like just because you come from the diaspora, you got the money. You know those regular stereotypes. But my point is like sometimes when you want to run for office, it's good for you to live with the people and understand their issues. And that's why I told you I'm not a big supporter of artists running for office because I believe they have a more powerful platform than even the politics itself to highlight that. The only thing they don't have is the budget, you know? So the argument that Jalas gave me was like, oh, yes, we want to get some things done, but because you're not going to be spending your money all the time to do projects when the money is already released, you know? So the thing is like, I understand that part, you know, but I'm not a big fan of artists running for office because they've not proven to us they are politicians. They've proven to us they are comedians or a singer or a socialite, you know?
You know, I'm going to say this, and I think somebody
What?
mentioned Muhammad Ali.
Jicho
In the
Pevu.
chat.
Jicho Pevu.
Yeah.
When he went into politics.
Jalas will end up, my hypothesis, he'll end up being like,
Being Jicho Pevud.
yes.
No, but Jalas will still run. He said he wants to do radio. He wants to revolutionize the
you know
place.
what?
So
let's
we are
give him
yet
a
to see,
chance.
but we
We're
have
yet to see.
examples.
We have examples.
But we have examples of artists like Jaguar, and we also have KJ. Now, you know, it's up to people in their constituencies to determine, you know, like whether they did well or not.
not.
But we already have
And
examples.
then we have someone like
But KJ, I'll give KJ some kudos. He's pushed the agenda of the artists a little bit in parliament, so I gotta give it to KJ. You know, at least we hear about KJ. But some of these other brethren, it's just sitting on the leather seat.
You're not gonna mention their names.
I don't want to be disrespectful, but I just want to say, you know, our agenda even the agendas in the neighborhood. 6 months is not far. So now is the time to see Mbivu na Mbichi.
Okay.
You know?
All right. Okay. And here, like I think Elolota, is talking about what you had addressed. What does Azimio have in their policies for diaspora? And then Babahanya here says, Ruto Hustler narrative is phone and the bottom up, whatever is a catchphrase and impractical. And then I have here Paul Okom saying, Kenya makes it impossible for Kenyans to do business in Kenya. Once you make too much money, you're a target. Angalia Sports Pesa. Once they were big, the parliament went in with ridiculous taxes. So those are things that we're going to talk about
in the story with the Sports Pesa is another story. But again,
those are things we're going to talk about in the social segment. So stay tuned. But as we wrap up this segment, Muzi, what advice do you have for diasporans who are planning to run in this coming election, or who already
go to the ground,
campaigning?
Stay with your people, understand their needs, because the needs of Kisumu are not necessarily the needs of Umoja.
True.
The needs of Mombasa are not necessarily the needs of Kakamega.
Well, when you say go to the ground, what exactly do you mean?
When I say the ground, you see when they tell you ground is different?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the ground is different.
What
when I
period
say
of
the ground
time?
is like understand the needs of your people. Like understand what is the need. I happened to be in a situation room before guys left for a rally. And I saw, that's why I admire this man called Baba, because I saw them dissecting what are the needs of these people. Like, if they are going to a different area, you're not going to come there with the same rhetoric
message,
of Mombasa in Nyandarua.
No, you can't.
You know? So they realize Nyandarua, these are their issues. And the guys who are there to articulate the issues, they say, these are our issue. I happened to be in Bunyore too, my village. Baba came to Bunyore, And what are the needs of the guys in Bunyore? Oh, there's this and that and the other. And then you understand the potential of the area. This area is good for maize. This area is good for fish. So invest you invest in what the area the area you invest in an area with what they are strong at. Do you get my point? So my advice to the diasporans, come live with your people, understand their needs, and then tackle their needs. Because I know guys who went to parliament because they understood the needs of their people.
But how much
give you
time?
An example.
Yeah.
Fred Outa, who's he was a first-time MP. He was a very good friend of ours when he used to be in New York. He was in New York. He was a former diasporan. So he went to Nyando, he understood what are the needs of the Nyando people. Nyando, they grow rice. Rice it had gone down. So he basically brought the industry back and did some things. That's how he got elected. So and they remember these are our needs. So that's how he got into parliament. So the diaspora
is very crucial and very important.
And how much time do you think is enough time?
Not 6 months.
Because
Not 6 months.
there are people who are still here.
And they're running for election.
They're running.
They haven't left.
They haven't left. They're still here.
Whoever's
Maybe
doing their ground for them,
they have flyers.
Maybe they applied for.
They have flyers and videos.
They may apply for their passports. They are waiting.
Or maybe they're waiting for their passports.
You gotta be. I'm telling you. 6 months is not enough.
Washake Dirango says, vote for me. I am the incoming woman rep for Diaspora County.
Washake will vote for you, but how much time is enough?
To be honest with you, I'll tell you if you're a diasporan, just go there at least 3 years.
3 years from the election date?
Yes.
On a minimum.
Oh, wow.
On a minimum. Go 3 years because you'll understand the demographics. You'll understand also data is very important. That's why I'm telling you, I'm not just going to come there as an artist. I have to understand, I have to get a guy who knows how to collect data. I am an artist, I want to run. And you have to understand, you have to get a computer guy, an economist. What is the big economy in this area? The economy of this area, iko na butchery mingi. Do you get my point?
Okay.
So you have to understand.
An expert who understands that area.
Exactly. So you have to, when you're putting together your team, you got to have expert, an economy expert, one to understand ground, huyu Kalugaga inakoka na voters wangapi. That's why do you think Gumo was an MP for Westlands for many years?
For a very long time.
The guys in Westlands did not like him, the affluent ones. But he knew, you don't have votes. What are you going to do? I'm going to invest in Kawangware, Kalugaga, and Kangemi. and he understood their needs.
Kangumu kama gumu, and his son is actually running.
Yes.
You know, this election.
So
Yeah.
We're
those
going to
guys-
try to get him. He's a former diaspora, and we're going to try to get him here on the One Mike show.
Yeah, Mike is running.
That'd be
Yeah.
nice. Mike, if you're running, understand the ground too. You know, your dad had a very good
This is his
strategy on
second
that.
time around. It's not his first time, by the way.
Okay. So
Yeah.
he must have some understanding.
So my advice to diasporans, you gotta understand those dynamics. Because if you don't understand them, you have to know, oh, hii kona vote zangu mingi ziko hapa. So when you understand those dynamics, understand their needs, invest in them.
Understand their needs and invest in it. And with that said, this is it for the News and Politics Hour. I want to thank you, Muzi, for your contribution. But we want you to stay tuned because Muzi is not going anywhere. Leo yuko na sisi mpaka mwisho. Now, Uno, remind the viewers real quick what we'll be discussing with
Twali
Muzi in the
Ginyundo.
social segment.
So in the social segment, it's very simple. We have got Grammy-nominated Artivist. We'll be discussing Gengeton, SkizaTunes, content being played in Kenya 254, entertainment in general. Don't forget to join us.
So that's a social segment. So stay tuned and keep it locked. And please remember to share our live stream and like our Facebook page. To those streaming from YouTube, this is the point where we say goodbye. Join us on Facebook because the show will continue on Facebook, but we're going to cut the YouTube stream. And please remember to like, subscribe, and follow us on all our social media handles. And keep spreading the word. Mimi ni mtangazaji wenu Ali Badawy, aka Mjukuu wa Masai, and you're still tuned in to the One Mike Show. We'll be right back.
Ladies and gentlemen, mabibi na mabwana, tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend that the People's Kamkunji is about to be in full effect. DJ Machachari Burabos, tugende.